and radio production, June 9th through the 14th at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. Scholarships are available from the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, and spots are limited. Learn more at digitalexpressionscamp.com. That's digitalexpressionscamp.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Thing down, flip it and reverse it.
If I could turn back time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
That's us. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind every Sunday. We do this thing every Sunday, 5 to 7. How are you?
Doing good, man. Had a fun-filled Friday afternoon, dodging tornadoes out at my full-time job. About
you
not
were
even
right
a mile.
down. You were right down a road. I mean, you work at Tractor Supply, right?
Yeah, the distribution center out there, and we were hiding out in storm shelters because it was a little hairy.
There's a lot of employees. How many employees though work there?
There's 309, I think, is our current roster, and we had probably 120 in the building at that time because we run 4 shifts. But
I remember I was watching Ken Shimmick right around, I don't know, when did it hit? 4 o'clock? 3:30?
Yeah, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, yeah.
And he had said, hey, there's a tornado. Spotters say there's a tornado touching down at 27th and Pine Lake. Well, I live at 40th and Pine Lake. So I'm mildly concerned that there could be a problem with a tornado if it's only like 13 blocks away. And then he comes back a few minutes later. He says, no, spotters are now saying that it never touched down at 27th and Pine Lake, but it is in Waverly and it's touching down. And spotters have confirmed that. So it's like, I mean, that's how quickly that stuff changes. Like, you're like, I'm in trouble. I could be in trouble. I think I'll go to my basement, which I did, and hide in the closet, which I did. I turned it up loud enough, the TV, so I could hear Ken Shimmick talking to me in the closet. But then he had left, and once I knew it was in Waverly, I came out of the closet and kind of watched the action, and obviously very concerned for those people in Waverly and for you, thinking about, the fact that you work there and probably were at work knowing it's 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, we were just hanging out in the 610,000 square foot warehouse, dodging debris.
And they said, obviously, a train had blown over.
Yep.
A couple of semis.
There's a video that the engineers on the train took as the tornado hit the train. You see it hit Garner Industries, and then you see it come across Highway 6, and it actually, like the funnel cloud, goes right over the front windshield of the engine of the lead engine of the train.
Crazy.
Yeah,
nobody was in it.
No, the guy. Yeah,
were there guys in it?
There was a guy and a gal, 2 engineers.
And they're okay.
Yeah,
as far as I know,
there
were no injuries.
No serious injuries. There's a couple of minor ones from the people at. Well, no, the people at Garner Industries also had a few minor injuries, but luckily, I think they had 70 employees. But yeah,
and Garner Industries is right by Tractor Supply, right?
It's 98th and Tractor's about 100 and what would be 30th. So I mean, it's a little over a mile.
Coach Rule's house was in that area.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, he lives just south of that general area.
Yeah.
So
I'm grateful. Obviously, you feel bad for anybody who lost property or who was injured. But as far as we know, nobody seriously injured and nobody died from the tornado.
Nope.
Tom Chattel's daughter apparently was in the house when it hit near his house in Elkhorn.
Yeah,
and we're going to have Tom Chattel on.
That's going to be a whale of a story to hear from him. So but that was my week.
Wow.
It was a little crazy, man.
That is nuts. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You look good, as you always do. And
thank you.
Let's get to the opening kick.
Lasher will kick it off for Oklahoma. The Sooners are in white. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are ready to go.
They were ready to go on Saturday. The Nebraska football team concluded spring practice for the year with the annual Red-White Spring Game at Memorial Stadium in front of an announced crowd of 60,452. The score, meaningless in this setting, was white 25, red 21. Meaningful, though, was the play of the one who carries the enormous weight of potential every time he's going to set foot on a field with fans in the stands for the next 1, 2, or 3 years. here at the University of Nebraska. That is Dylan Raiola. He acted like a young man who was finally able to make a statement in front of the world about what he offers to not just Nebraska, but to the game of football itself. He goes 16 for 22, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, threw the one pick off Demetrius Bell's hand when he threw behind him. The thing that stood out to me more than anything is in the interview post-game, he's got praise for the coaching staff. He's got praise for his teammates. He's got self-reflection, self-awareness, and he took blame for mistakes that were made. I mean, he sounded like a guy who had been working to this point to be in this spotlight his entire life, and he kind of has. But I was almost more impressed with the way he handled everything post-game. From what we've heard, it was expected what he did, but then he actually went out and did it with, like I said, that enormous weight of the expectations, man. This is what people are expecting you to do. The potential is there. Can you live up to yeah, just shut the hell up. Let me go play.
Were you surprised by anything you saw from him? Were you surprised?
I'm not going to lie. I kind of was, just simply because we've heard about it. Right. But until you actually see that touch, that ability to, like, how the hell he got the ball through 5 or 6 defenders on 2 different passes to Alex Bullock is beyond me. The third and 9 conversion and the 2-point conversion.
I guess what I saw is kind of what I expected.
I get that, but until you see it,
and what I saw was phenomenal. Yeah. And that's the ridiculous part is I believed everything that I saw, and I kind of expected everything I saw, and yet everything I saw from Dylan Raiola, except for maybe the one pick, and I rewatched that pick to Bell, it really wasn't that bad of a ball. It was behind Bell, but it was catchable.
Yeah, but the thing that's, like I said, that stood out to me, he immediately goes, he even said it in the postgame, he goes, that one's on me. That was my fault. I've got to put the ball in a better place. I threw it behind him. Like, he immediately owned it, and the thing was, he didn't try to dance around why he threw it behind him or whatever. He just said, hey, that was on me. Period. End of story. Move on.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory Barney, he kind of lived up to some of the hype we've been hearing from, what Husker Nation has been hearing about him throughout this entire spring. He has 3 catches for 66 and 1 touchdown, plus a 78-yard kickoff return where he thought Tristan Alvano was his teammate because, the color of the jerseys and stuff.
That was kind of funny.
Was kind of funny
because he got up and he was going, wait a minute, bud.
What are you doing?
Why did you tackle me?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're on a different team. And it is easy to see why that happened. He was wearing a gray jersey.
Yeah, because he's going to play both ways, just like the lineman. Yeah. So other Huskers who I felt looked good, Dante Dowdell, sometimes I get it. He had the most yards and he had that 49-yard run. I thought he missed the cut on that 49-yard run. I didn't think he was going to see the hole. I think he took a couple of steps more than he needed to before he cut, but he got there. Emmett Johnson, hands down to me, is the best running back that played this spring, and it's not even close.
I would agree.
Jalen Lloyd, fantastic. Thomas Fedoni, fantastic. Janarian Bonner, oh my gosh. Nate Borkircher, all of them on offense. You're just sitting there and you're going, man, we've got some weapons, and a few of them haven't even played, and that's Gabe Irvin and Ramir Johnson. And Isaiah Nayor I thought was good.
Carter Nelson isn't here yet.
Carter Nelson's not here yet.
He's here, but he's not here. I think they're going to have a lot of weapons. I can't wait to see what happens in that tight end room when they line up Carter Nelson sometimes at tight end, sometimes at wide receiver, sometimes at running back, sometimes
thing with
at quarterback.
Though.
Fedoni had a great, I think for the first time and Rule mentioned this, going into the offseason, he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to recover from 2 knee injuries. He's in really good shape. He looks like an NFL tight end because he is.
Yeah.
He's really good.
I felt like 7 or 8 of the probable starters on opening day, August 31st, did not play on defense. The ones that were out there, though, I've got to say Ethan Nation, DeAndre Barnes, Dwight Boodle stood out. Several others kind of made plays. Gage Stenger did. The not good that I took out of that game is obviously the 2 injuries. Bly Hill, potential starting cornerback opposite of Tommy Hill. He's out with the knee injury. And Demetrius Bell, that did not look good at all. That looked, I'm not going to say that it is going to be long-term, but it looked like it might be a long-term injury. Matt Rule alluded to that possibility.
Bell's injury worse than Hill's.
Yep. So hopefully Bly Hill can get back healthy before the season. He did just tweet out like 5 minutes ago that he is, let's see if we can find it again here. He tweeted out that despite the injury, I had a great first spring ball. I cannot wait to get back on the field with this team. Be back soon. I like that response from Bly Hill as far as the fact of how serious that injury may be. So maybe he's doing a little foreshadowing as far as exactly what's going on. Hopefully it's not as serious as it looked like it might be. And then the one that just, are you kidding me? Tristan Alvano missing 2 kicks that are very easily makeable.
Yeah.
Going back to last year, I think Nebraska.
And it wasn't a windy day.
No.
The wind had no factor yesterday.
I mean, I get it. The young man kicked 5 field goals in a high school state championship game in that stadium. So far, what I've seen with the end on the side of his helmet, I think he needs some competition. They've got to find somebody better.
Bring in a Connor Culp type guy.
Well, Connor Culp couldn't kick in front of a crowd. In 2020, he was the All Big Ten kicker, place
I
kicker
don't know
of the year.
how much I buy that. I mean, okay,
well, here's the facts. When there was no fans in the stands, he was the Big Ten kicker of the year. And when there were fans in the stands, he was replaced halfway through the season and made like 4 of 9 kicks.
Well, I agree.
And he left LSU because he couldn't kick.
But he kicked well. Just don't allow fans into the stadium on days that you're bringing in the new goals. Guy. They can't. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, but you need a kicking competition, and maybe they already have one.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the job needs to be open because he didn't have a great first year.
No,
as a freshman, and you understand the freshman kicker. Yeah, you're going to maybe struggle.
Hey, all I know is,
as I know, Chris Brown had a great freshman year.
Yeah, Chris Brown, Josh Brown, Brett Maher. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Alex Henry. They all had rough first years. They missed 1 or 2 kicks. Right. They didn't miss 5 or 6. And
yeah, there was a time where you could have called Nebraska kicking you.
Yeah.
Lately, that's not been the case.
No.
They need to get that corrected. You lost 3 games, 13-10, I believe, last year.
Yeah, their game. I mean, regardless of what happened without the field goals, there's like field goals that needed to be made in those games. And that's the whole thing, too. I mean, if you're talking with a swirling wind, you're talking into the wind, et cetera, from, wherever, outside of 30 yards, maybe you give a guy a break. But yesterday was not a difficult day to kick, and both of his misses just simply did not look good.
And maybe
the one almost looked like a shank.
Maybe you could say, hey, it's a good thing. He's going to be really focused here, going out of the spring and into fall camp. I mean, that should be a laser focus with not just him, but the punters.
Well, you'd think after the way he kicked last year, it would have been laster focused leading up to
You would have
Saturday.
thought so. And maybe he's been kicking really well, and this was just a one bad day.
Maybe so. If one of the things I'm looking for in the portal, because I know Coach Rule is very happy with the team that he's got, but I'm going to be maybe shopping around a little bit for a guy that
absolutely
that's
and I think they've
has
done
a leg.
Actually they've found a few, even quarterback. I mean, if you see a quarterback, a grad transfer, go get him, because I'm not, as much as I loved what I saw from Dylan Raiola, and looks like Harburg has taken a step forward. He was 8 of 13. If you can find a quarterback that you can rely on, Nebraska's proven that they almost never, and over the last several years, have not made it through a season with their starting quarterback upright for the entire season.
Yeah, and part of that, though, is the style of offense. I mean, Dylan Raiola is not a guy that's going to lower his shoulder and take on linebackers like Heinrich Harburg.
But, freak injuries happen.
I get it. And it's a little I get Rule's confidence in those 3. I see it out of 2 of them so far. But I really think they need another guy that they realistically can count on, because I think Daniel Kalin looks like a redshirt candidate to me right now. Harburg obviously is not going to, but I think Harburg is going to play a bigger and or different role with the team.
Right.
That's not at quarterback.
Get a package of plays.
Get him in as a tight end or an H-back or even a fullback. I'll be honest with you, with his athleticism, what Coach Rule was talking about with Carter Nelson, we're just going to have him high jump over at the goal line. From what I saw from Heinrich Harburg, let's do that with him too. I mean, put Carter Nelson, Thomas Fedoni, and Heinrich Harburg in a wishbone style formation behind Dylan Raiola and see what happens.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking absolute freak athletes with all kinds of playmaking ability.
With all of that said, Dylan Raiola looked really good, but let's face it, Nebraska wasn't playing its starters.
Well, no.
And there was one touchdown. Harburg made a really nice corner throw. Ja'Cory Barney made a really nice catch, and that was a really good throw. His second touchdown pass to Fedoni would have been a sack. If you rewatch it, which I did.
Yeah.
There was a guy there, just raised his hands right in front of him. All he had to do was touch him, and he was out.
Yeah.
That would have been a sack on that second throw.
Oh, I get it.
But I still think he looked much improved. And you can tell part of it is Nebraska just has more playmakers. They have guys that can actually catch the ball.
Yeah.
And Jalen Lloyd looks for real, but their wide receiver crew, I think they've got a lot of guys. We didn't even talk. Banks didn't really even show up. He didn't have to, but I think Isaiah Nayor looks like a really good wide receiver. Obviously, Barney.
Yep.
I think they're going to have some weapons this year.
Well, Malachi's up to almost 220. Just to put a quick bow on the opening kick, rain put a damper on Husker baseball and softball over the weekend. Baseball won 7-4 over Iowa Friday night. They ultimately win Game 2 that was suspended yesterday after a 4-hour and 15-minute rain delay. Today, they win 12-2. First pitch here in a couple of minutes, or maybe already first pitch for Game 3 of that series. Baseball won the first two against Iowa, though. Nebraska softball lost both games to Northwestern, 6-5 on Friday, 8-1 yesterday. They had a 5-0 lead in the second game of the doubleheader, but that game got postponed, and then due to Northwestern having to travel, the Game 3 of that series is canceled. Nebraska go to Husker softball goes up to Minneapolis. They play 3 against the Gophers to wrap up the regular season, and then the Big Ten tournament is May 8th to 11th in Iowa City. No Huskers taken in this year's NFL draft. Phelan Sanford, though, signed with the Raiders. Nuri Nueli signed with the Saints. Quentin Newsom signed with the Denver Broncos, as did Omar Brown. Anthony Grant has signed with the Bucks. Marco Ortiz, the long snapper, signed with the Chargers. And late this afternoon, Billy Kemp has signed a undrafted free agent deal with the New York Giants. So a few former Huskers getting a shot on some practice squads in the NFL.
You mentioned Nebraska baseball about to go with first pitch in Game 3. It took this long because they were scheduled to start their continued game. They were up, I believe, 8-1 in Saturday's game. It was rained out due to the weather. They moved it to 11 o'clock this morning, Game 2. They'd already won Game 1 7-4. And it was moved to 3 o'clock this afternoon because they continued bad weather. They finally finished it up. Nebraska ruled Iowa today, 12-2. Lots of home runs. Karen hit one. Evans hit one. Overbeek blasted one. It looks like the offense is coming around for Nebraska baseball. And they are in a current tie. Actually, they are in third place in the Big Ten standings. Purdue 11-4, Illinois 11-4, Nebraska 10-4. So not bad.
No, and pending today's game. So Nebraska could ultimately be in a three-way tie.
Yeah, they could be in a three-way tie if they win today's game. And why wouldn't they? They're playing really well. And Will Walsh, you assume, gets the start today, and he's been pitching well.
Iowa plates a run in both the first and second. Iowa 2, Nebraska nothing at the end of 2.
Well, crap! I just said it, and then you say something like that.
It just popped up 41 seconds ago.
Why don't you at least lie to me and say Nebraska's up 6-0?
Nebraska would be up 6-0 if Tom had his way.
But I don't. But Nebraska baseball, they've been coming back. They were down 3-0, I believe, on Friday night. And Todd and Sears, who has pitched really well all year, didn't pitch his greatest outing in that one, but they come back to win that game 7-4. They crush Iowa on Saturday. It leads into today. They run rule them 12-2. And now Game 3, a late start. Iowa must be bussing it because they usually have that thing where if a game doesn't end by 6 o'clock on a Sunday, then you just call it good. It's, get out of town rule, whatever it's called.
Well, it's all based on their travel plans.
Right. Now, they must be taking the bus.
Well, either that or they've got a charter that is a charter and they don't have to catch a commercial flight.
Right.
Is another option, but who knows what it actually is. But I'm happy that they're able to play Game 3. It gives Nebraska an opportunity, even though they're down 2-0 early, to jump into a three-way tie for first and kind of solidify that potential of guaranteeing an NCAA tournament berth. That's the first thing. And then you start worrying about getting a good seed in a regional and hopefully being able to host a regional.
Yeah. They need to get hot again and host a regional. That'd be awesome. They're at 27 and 13 right now, 10-4 in the league. So they're playing good baseball. And if they sweep Iowa, they're in a tie for first place in the Big Ten. So not a lot to complain. You'd like to see Nebraska play better in the midweek than they have so far. I want to throw some words out to Greg Sharp, one of our good friends, of course, the play-by-play guy for Nebraska football. He called the game yesterday. Struggling, obviously. He announced to the Husker Nation that he has cancer, and he's going through a tough time right now. But just thinking about him, what a good guy. If you've ever met Greg Sharp, you know how good of a dude he is. One of the best. Really, really nice guy. And I'm not just saying that. He's an awesome dude. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Greg Sharp as he struggles. But he steps up to the mic and actually calls the game yesterday. And I know he's in a bit of pain right now.
Yeah, no, one of the most genuine, kind and caring individuals that walks the planet. He just genuinely is.
Yeah. We say that sometimes, but it's really true with Greg.
Yeah. Greg's a different cat, man. He has more care and compassion for mankind than
just a good dude.
It's one of those that you marvel at how good of a person he is, and you hope that you get some of that rubs off on you. We all try to be good people, and on occasion you get a little frustrated or a little whatever. And just channel your inner Greg Sharp, and you'll be an awesome person every day.
Really good guy, really good dude. Let's get the break. Let's come back with our first guest. Tom Chattel will be in hour number 2.
Brian Munson.
But Brian Munson, we'll talk a little recruiting with Brian Munson of Husker Online of the On3 Network, and we'll do that coming up next. Brian Munson.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
When you're in New York, Nick, in New York, I mean, you're talking about, you see mafioso types. You go into a restaurant and you would literally eat. Hey, come on over here. They I don't know how to say it. I don't got the accent, but they would say, come, Strick, come here, come over. Have a drink on me. And what are you going to do? Say no?
You not say
you
no
don't
to that?
say no to the drink. You don't say no.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ever stare at the Hog Wild menu and feel like you just can't make up your mind because it all looks so good? Well, when I want a little bit of everything, I get a little bit of everything on Hog Wild Smokestack Sandwich. On a butter-toasted bun, we pile on our hickory smoked beef brisket and juicy hot links. The hard part is choosing between fresh curly fries, classic baked beans, or coleslaw on the side. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
There's more time to save big at Bonzal Pool & Spa with their extended Double the Savings sales event. Now through April 30th, buyers can take advantage of up to $1,500 in savings when they purchase a new hot spring spa. Visit the Bonzal Pool & Spa showroom at 33rd and Pioneers or visit their website at www.bonzalpool.com to learn more about this hot sale. Act now because this offer ends April 30th. Bonzal Pool & Spa, every day made better. Tanner's Bar and Grill is the perfect place to watch your favorite MLB teams this spring and summer, as well as Nebraska baseball. Enjoy Tanner's delicious hamburgers, chicken lips, and daily specials, and wash it down with one of their tons of options of beers. You'll never have an issue finding the game as there are TVs everywhere throughout the space, so get in early and grab your spot and settle in for an afternoon or evening of baseball at Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. That is Mr. Tom Stevens.
Hello.
My name is Mike Melby, and on the Allo VIP line from Husker Online, Mr. Brian Munson. Brian, how are you this fine Sunday afternoon?
I think I'm developing carpal tunnel, but everything else is A-okay. How are you guys?
Being someone who suffers from minor carpal tunnel and trigger finger from all the stuff I've done, you have all of the sympathy I can throw your way.
Oh, my goodness, man. I mean, I honestly did not know how well things would go for me to reach people this weekend. Look, the higher the rating, the more difficult they are to get a hold of. It's just kind of a rule of thumb. And Nebraska had 8 really popular guys, high-rated dudes, guys that have been dealing with this, this process, for a year, that probably put down their phones and pick it up and it looks like a Christmas tree. So I was pretty successful in getting a hold of most of them, and got some hopes still to get a hold of one more tonight.
Well, let's start with, I believe, a quarterback in town. Lateef was that who was in town this weekend?
He was, and that was one of them that I had missed, unfortunately. Caught him while he was still on campus, and then missed him on his way to the airport. So TJ Lateef was there. I mean, I don't even know if it's arguably. I think it's pretty clear that he is Nebraska's top quarterback prospect on their board. Orange, California, Lutheran High School. I think he really fit in. There were a lot of pictures of him hanging out with various players over the weekend. I think there was a picture of him and Michael Terry, who is like probably Nebraska's number 1 wide receiver recruit. I think it was on one of the social media sites, had them kind of hanging out together and goofing around. So I think this was a really tight-knit weekend. I think one of the big reasons, I think Dylan Raiola was really involved with the whole entire, every bit of it. I think that he's definitely working, the recruits, trying to get them to kind of join him. He didn't have a chance to do that when he joined the class last December, and he's making up for some lost time. And I think it was a perfect opportunity to show those guys, what a true freshman can do. And there were multiple comments about Raiola and how he ran the offense and how effortlessly he kind of threw the ball all over the field.
Well, and I'm going to ask you a question now that I'm just going to make it very wide ranging, and I will let you fill in as much of the color in the sketch as you want to. Talk about what he presented to Husker Nation and anybody else who tuned into the Big Ten Network with his abilities. And then also, I thought afterwards, the interviews, he sounded like somebody who literally from birth had been taught how to properly handle the spotlight if you truly are that guy. Physically, he looked like that guy, and afterward, he sounded like that guy. What does that do, and how big of an asset is that for guys? I mean, I would love to go play with somebody like that. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I think the quarterback position at Nebraska is the probably, for the lack of better terms, it's the ultimate fishbowl. You have this the media, it's the types and quantity of people that want to catch up with you on a daily, weekly basis. It's way more than some pro teams ever expect to have. But there's definitely you have to be polished, and having that polish so early on in his career, I think it just kind of the attention to details with him. I mean, he has got the bigger picture stuff. We saw it on the field. He started out 4 for 4 with a touchdown throw. He didn't let 60,000 fans get to him when he took the field for his first time out there in Memorial Stadium for any sort of game. I think that's enough to get to anyone. Just to stand in there on the field alone and have 60,000 pairs of eyes staring at you is enough to kind of scare some people back into their shell. So he was able to block out all of that. And then obviously underneath the bright lights of the media and the scrutiny and the attention, he's able to kind of push it all off to the side, take it all in stride, whatever name your metaphor. He's got it all. So he's a very mature individual that I think, to your point, has that ability just to kind of, handle all the things in all facets of being the starting quarterback there at Nebraska right now.
Brian Munson of Husker Online of the On3 Network is our guest. I know it's easy to say, and you heard people say it during the broadcast. You've heard people say it on social media. He reminds me a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of people hesitate to say that because Patrick Mahomes may be the best ever by the time he's all done. But the pass to Janiran Bonner for a touchdown, the roll, and he hits, I think it was Ian Flint, the wide receiver, or a tight end for a big gain. And then the pass to Alex Bullock, where he has to float it over a linebacker in space. I just haven't seen those throws by a Nebraska quarterback in maybe forever. And to say Patrick Mahomes, he reminds you of Patrick Mahomes because he does remind me of Patrick Mahomes. Does he remind you at all of that?
I've seen enough of Patrick Mahomes being a Buffalo Bills fan to make me nauseous. But I would say that the comparison is there, and it's probably, worthy of one because, they have the same coach. They have the same, third-party kind of external coach, down here in Dallas. I think I can't remember what the guy's name. I think it's Coach Christensen. So they go to the same guy. So there would definitely be some reasons to believe why they would look a little similar on the football field. I think what's so amazing watching him just going through the motions and everything like that, and I heard this term multiple times today too, it's effortless. He's able to put a throw, with air underneath it and touch just as easily as he can, try to put something into a tight spot with minimal time to get it out of his hand. He has got the ability to kind of make all those throws, and there's really no difference, no changes to how he kind of has to load and has to get through that whip. The whip is exactly the same, and that's pretty unusual. And I think that's probably the part about, like, when it comes to the comparison to Mahomes that really kind of rings the most true with me.
So one of the recruits that was on campus, four-star wide receiver Emmanuel Choice, did you have a chance to catch up with him and get his thoughts?
I did. I caught up with both he and Cortez Mills.
Okay.
So Choice is the kind of guy that this was his first time getting up there. So he needed this opportunity to kind of soak it all in. Garrett McGuire's done a great job recruiting him. He did a great job recruiting Kejuan Lacey last year until Lacey flipped to Missouri. And, I think Choice needed this to kind of see what the progression has been from, year one under Matt Rule to year two. And he noticed the differences on the field on Saturday, particularly with the quarterbacks. He also sees that, you have a couple portal guys that have come in this year that look very different, than some of the other guys that are currently on the team now. The guys that made some noise yesterday, like, Ja'Cory Barney and Lloyd. I mean, those guys are a little bit smaller, than Emmanuel Choice is. Emmanuel Choice is a 6'4" guy that, he plays. He's incredibly long, and I've seen him play in person multiple times. He can play in the tight spaces, and he can stretch the field out. He can make guys miss, and he can take the ball away from people. He's really a versatile wide receiver. And then talking like Cortez Mills visited Nebraska in January, and he just loved the fact that a guy like Barney from South Florida, only been on campus now for a few short months, has had, such a time to kind of, blossom so quickly, in the offense and find a role within the team. I think it says a lot about all of the freshmen. It wasn't missed by any of them that I spoke with today about how much they saw the young guys kind of stepping up. Rule doesn't see it as like only the fourth year and fifth year guys get to play. If you can produce and you can help the team, you will find a way onto the field. And that was what all of them repeated to me today.
Brian Munson, Husker Online of the On3 Network. So maybe you have your quarterback in Latif. If he commits, you're always going to go after wide receivers, especially with a guy like Dylan Raiola here. Did they have a position in your mind of real need for this class?
Yeah, I think that they need to get some real classic offensive tackles. They missed out on a big one with Jack Lang when he committed to Missouri last week. They've had a couple other guys, kind of not include Nebraska on their final list, and they have some guys that they're in, good with, and I think that Nebraska is going to have a chance to get some more guys potentially to come in here and take some visits. It's it was one of the things too. It's like Douglas Utu, who potentially was supposed to come in from Bishop Gorman. He's teammates with Xander Rugaroli. And then obviously you had the other official visitor, Alai Kalanivalu, from Bishop Gorman that was there. And I just talked to him, and his story's going to be going up here in about 5 minutes. I think Utu is a guy that really wants to get back to Nebraska. Visited last year. But I think that they need some real classic tackles. They've got enough of the 6'3" guys. They need some 6'5" guys. That would be very, very helpful. I think that they have done a great job, with the other parts of the classes, and maybe another defensive lineman here or there might explain the portal transfer offer this last week. But yeah, I think that would make some sense. And then obviously getting a guy like Christian Jones, into the class. Pierce Mooberry kind of building up depth at that second level. That's part of the class. That's part of the class I think was neglected a little bit last year in the 2024 group.
Brian Munson of Husker Online joining us here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. One question I have is, of the group that was here this weekend, how many do you think ultimately commit, and who do you think might be the first one or two that do so?
I think I feel good about, now this is considering I haven't caught up with 3 of them. I think I feel good about 2 of the 5 that I have caught up with. I think I feel good with the offensive lineman, Alai, from Bishop Gorman. And I think Antonio Branch, the defensive back from Miami, Florida, too. And that one's going to be tough, but I think that once he saw all the Florida guys that were having an impact, I think that kind of resonated with him. It wouldn't surprise me. I would put the over-under at 2.5. And I would be halfway tempted to go overs on that. I think Nebraska made up ground with a ton of guys. I think they made up ground with John Mills. I think they made up ground with Cortez Mills. I thought they made up ground with Emmanuel Choice, which is really saying something, because every time I've seen Choice at Lancaster, he's always wearing an Oklahoma or OU towel. So for Nebraska to get that kind of high praise from him, I think he really had a terrific trip this weekend.
We used to ask you questions like, how many do they take in this class? But it doesn't seem to matter as much anymore, Brian, because of NIL. It's like, just grab all the good players, and if you have to, not put them on scholarship and just pay them, do it that way. But how big will this class, though, be, you think?
Yeah, it's such a great point. I mean, it's almost a little bit more lucrative potentially to kind of go that NIL route, at least from like the money that you're bringing in monthly and what you can kind of do with it. I mean, versus, like the traditional walk-on guys, it's obviously a thing of the past. Maybe call it the county scholarship reincarnate or whatever you want to call it. But I think that what you got here is you're still going to find yourself in the low 20s. Now, how many of those guys actually end up on the 85? I would put it less than 20, probably somewhere between, I'd say 16 to 18 seems pretty reasonable. But to your point, basically the 85 scholarship limit, it doesn't exist anymore. And we're never truly going to understand or know how or which guys are really part of that 85 and which ones aren't.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing moving forward. So one of the things I guess I kind of expect is within the next year to 3 years, ultimately the schools are going to be given a salary cap, and it's going to be divvied up between all sports. And I mean, my thought is, for the sake of argument, to make the numbers easy, every school's got $10 million. And you can put it towards whatever athletes you want to. A school like Kansas, are they going to put it towards basketball, or are they going to put more towards football? You know what I mean? Sure. That type of stuff. I could see it.
$10 million. Hell, you're spending $2 million on Dylan Raiola alone.
I'm just saying, if the I don't know where you get your numbers, but I hope so, man. No, but do you see where I'm coming from, Brian? I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting.
Well, I think you have to pay attention to Title IX here. I mean,
exactly.
It obviously still plays a factor. That's another way you kind of bake in, caring for Title IX is if you have that kind of a salary cap, so to speak, in your athletic department. And I think you're just throwing out a number in general, because I was just going to weigh in. I'd heard some numbers being tossed around for like Dylan Edwards, who ended up committing to Kansas State earlier today. I saw that. And it's, it was north of $2 million. And so that's just to kind of give you, and that's a guy, what did he have? Less than 600 yards rushing last year?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I just, what are you buying? What are you, I mean, obviously it's lightning in a jar, but I just, it doesn't seem to come out of the jar very often either.
Well, it's always good having you, Brian. We'll have you down the road when some of these guys start to commit. It feels like things are rolling for Matt Rule and company. This was a really good weekend.
I think that they have their process down for the unofficials and the officials guys, and I think people should be really excited about where things are going with this class.
I would agree. Brian Munson of Husker Online, the On3 Network. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great night, guys. We'll see you.
Thanks, Brian.
I didn't watch a lot of the NFL draft. I was going to ask him how his Bills did this weekend, but his Bills don't need to be well. They're spoiled already. I mean, they're already really good. My Vikings need a lot of help. And they got their quarterback, which I don't like. They got JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to lie. I'd take Dak Prescott on my Cowboys over JJ McCarthy.
I would too. Do you want to trade him to me? Because I'll take him.
Sure.
Because you don't even like Dak.
I don't like Dak. I don't.
Sanderson doesn't like him either.
Yeah, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
Some Cowboy fans would love him. My brother, who's a Cowboys guy, loves Dak Prescott. Nope. And I like him better than anything the Vikings have. That's for sure. But I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. And I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to be ever a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Jim Harbaugh still says he's the best quarterback ever to come out of the University of Michigan.
He's not biased at all. He's not biased at all.
Regardless of anybody else that played at Michigan, Tom Brady, don't know.
It's funny that Harbaugh said that. JJ McCarthy's, his best quarterback ever that he's ever seen. And then the Vikings call Jim Harbaugh. He's now the head coach of the San Diego Chargers. And they say, hey, you can have JJ. We'll take Herbert. We'll give you our 2 draft picks in the first round. We'll take Justin Herbert. And he said, no. So that's how much he loves his own quarterback, exactly. JJ McCarthy, because he could have had him. He certainly could have had him. Let's get to break and come back with more. He's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens. It's Husker Rewind. Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through April 30th is buy one, get one free on New York strips, limit 4 per visit. Also 15% off koozie chips and nuts. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
There's more time to save big at Bonzal Pool and Spa with their extended Double the Savings sales event. Now through April 30th, buyers can take advantage of up to $1,500 in savings when they purchase a new hot spring spa. Visit the Bonzal Pool and Spa showroom at 33rd and Pioneers or visit their website at www.bonzalpool.com to learn more about this hot sale. Act now because this offer ends April 30th. Bonzal Pool and Spa, every day made better.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives. Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Whether you like fishing together or fishing to get away, for the thrill of reeling in a big one, or just going out to have a good time, on the banks of your local pond, at a bend in a river, or on one of our many lakes and reservoirs, you'll always find the perfect place to cast a line, here, beneath Nebraska skies. Start planning your next fishing adventure today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. That is Tom Stevens. Hello. My name's Mike Melby, and we are conversing about, well, a little bit of everything. We talked a bit on the NFL draft and Huskers that signed free agent deals, a lot about the Nebraska spring game, baseball and softball. One of the things I know that was brought up by a few people, you were one of them, had to do with the fact that you had 2 injuries to 2 potentially key players. One of them more than likely the starting cornerback opposite of Tommy Hill and Bly Hill with a knee injury. And then about 6 plays before that, a freshman wide receiver that was looking spectacular in spring so far, Demetrius Bell, has what looks to be a similar knee injury, although slightly more serious. No official word that we have heard as of yet. And just a quick little side note, Nebraska baseball has got on the board. They trailed 2-1. I believe they are in the middle of the 4th. No, bottom of the 4th now. Iowa 2, Nebraska 1.
We were going to have Lance Harvell on
Nebraska
at 6
still working.
o'clock in about 10 minutes, but we can't do that because he'll be coaching third base. I did text him yesterday and said, can we just call you during the game and you can talk to us while you're coaching first base or third base? And he said, fine. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Let's do it. I think he might actually consider doing it.
And then he also, if I remember right, he also said, make sure you have the dump button ready because I can't promise what's going to come out of my mouth depending on what happens on the field.
Oh, he's the best. I love that guy. Nebraska baseball would be huge. They could move into a tie for first place if they win today, but they're down 2-1 to Iowa in game 3 of that series right now.
Yeah, but bottom of the 4th, and the Huskers are still cooking. Last time I checked, still just 1 out, and I believe 2 on. So with the injuries, you made the comment, you were like, hey, I kind of wonder. I mean, Tom Chattel wrote an article about it. Hey, get some fans' perspective on what should we do with the spring game if it's not a football game.
Right.
And there was all kinds of answers from like having coaches come out in convertibles and all kinds of weird stuff. But you asked me that question earlier, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I thought about it a little bit, and I kind of know where I would like to see it go, you know, with those injuries included and all that type of stuff. So what are your thoughts?
I want to see a football game. Even if it's 7-on-7, and we talked a little bit about that with Tom Chattel. And that's kind of what it became yesterday, because you didn't have any of the big name starters. No Hutmacher, no Polar Bear. I didn't see Isaac Gifford, John Bullock, Deshaun Singleton, Ty Robinson, Jamari Butler. Most of the first team defensive guys were not out there. It was set up, quite frankly, for the quarterbacks to have a day. It looked like to me. You still have to throw and complete passes, and that's what Dylan Raiola did. I thought Harburg looked a lot better, but again, he's not going against great players. His second TD is to Thomas Fedoni, which was a good run by Thomas, would not have been a touchdown in a Big Ten game. He would have been sacked. So I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't mind the 7-on-7 idea. I still want to see some semblance of football. But the injury that you saw to Demetrius Bell could have happened. I mean, just it didn't look like there was major contact there. He fell weird. He was tackled hard, but he fell weird. I didn't see how Bly Hill got injured.
That looked like when he went down, he was down when the camera caught up to where the ball was. So that looks to me like a complete non-contact injury.
And that's the less serious injury,
That's
it sounds like.
we're hoping. Yeah, exactly.
We're hoping.
And I
don't want either of them to get injured because I think Demetrius Bell is really good as well.
Exactly. But to the point of, you know, an NFL stadium ripped out the turf and put in natural grass to play a soccer match in an NFL stadium because they refuse to play on artificial turf because of injuries like what seemed like happened yesterday.
And I can't prove that that's the reason that they happened, because it was
those specific ones. No, but if you look at the injuries that happened on grass versus the injuries that happened on turf, it is drastically different. And I hope if one of the changes that happens sooner than later in Memorial Stadium, whether it's seating capacity, whatever, I hope it is natural grass on the field. I get it. It's Nebraska. I get it. November. It may not be pretty. It may have some brown spots, but we've got a hell of a horticulture department at the University of Nebraska. I guarantee you they can figure out how to make it look good and keep it healthy. I truly feel that Nebraska should have a natural grass playing surface.
So I want them to continue to play football. I don't mind continuing to do what we saw yesterday. Yeah, you're going to have injuries occasionally. Maybe artificial turf is the problem. Maybe you need to go to a more mixture. I know a lot of stadiums are going to a mixture of synthetic turf mixed with natural grass, and they seem to have fewer injuries doing that. I know that Matt Rule, he would always practice. They occasionally will practice on Memorial Stadium's field, but rarely. More often than not, if they can practice on grass, they're going to practice on grass. I know he's a big fan of that and thinks it produces less injuries. But I don't need to see Nash Hutmacher. I don't need to see Deshaun Singleton or John Bullock or Isaac Gifford. I know what they can do. I like this. I'm there to see what the young guys can do.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, Dylan, obviously, he's a young guy, but he has a wealth of experience. And the training with Patrick Mahomes, you can see the similarities, and they have the same quarterbacks coach and the same trainer there. We obviously wanted to see Dylan Raiola. I mean, most everybody showed up to see what he could do. And he threw to guys that could catch the ball. I was encouraged by that. Sad to see Bell go down, but can't wait to see with the full arsenal this fall what he can do. I think the wide receivers, they've got some. It was, I think, a weakness last year, and now you can see Jalen Lloyd is a completely different player. And he was starting to show signs of that toward the end of last year anyway. Nebraska's obviously got tight ends. Thomas Fedoni's really good, but Borkircher's good. They've got a load of weapons. Ishmael Smith
Flores nice one-headed catch.
He made a nice catch. I mean, they've got some real players. Ian Flint, I was impressed by. I think Nebraska's got some offensive weapons, and I think their whole intention was to display basically a 7-on-7 game without 7-on-7. It looked like they were trying to edge that way, and it's kind of what we wanted to see.
Yeah, it wasn't as much. I know what you're saying because the quarterbacks were off limits, but at the same time, any running play, I mean, it was hat on hat and man against man. And
let's face it,
even on passing downs, though, it wasn't two-hand touch type whatever with the quarterbacks. You had to get to him first. So there was still offensive line versus defensive line play. But at the same time, go back to at the end of the day, you struggled with injuries at quarterback last year. And I know Coach Rule was all about having the quarterbacks live during the scrimmage last year, during the spring game. I thought it was
totally different offense, though.
Exactly. And I thought it was maybe not in Nebraska's best interest to have that last year. I was actually happy to see him put the quarterbacks with the green jerseys. But at the end of the day, I want to see football. And even if it is, quarterbacks have the green jerseys, but I don't care who's playing. Sit your vets, sit the guys that know what they can do, and tell the young guys, go get after it. Because if one of these guys that's over there with no pads on that are watching today, do you want to be the one that goes out to replace him? Then go out there and prove it. Oh, by the way, the guy you're going against, he's got the same challenge.
Right.
Go fight for it. And I think to some extent that's what the message was yesterday. And I have no problem with the game format. I don't want to see a skills competition. I don't want to see
Oklahoma drill, that type of thing. That was kind of fun that one year.
I do like the practice parts that you see, i.e. the wind sprints between the third and fourth quarter. I like that type of stuff where they incorporate just some goofy things. I thought Bo Pelini did a nice job incorporating various drills during the game, but then keep it a game. I mean, have a little bit of fun, but keep it a game.
If you throw in too many gimmicks, it's going to go from 60,000 people, which what it was basically 60,000 yesterday, to 10.
So
if you're going to charge for, I mean, that's what Nebraska fans are nerds. They're football nerds. They want to see some semblance of football.
I get it. And I get it. It was 60,456, I believe, is what the announced attendance was. And maybe that was purchased.
They left pretty early.
Yeah, everything that I saw, I was not there. I think you were there, but that there was not 60,000 people. I'd say 45. But
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Colorado's spring game claimed to have 28,000.
I saw 47,000 they claimed.
No, 28. That was last year.
Oh, this year they claimed 47,000.
No, they claimed 28,000 this year. They had 47 they claimed last year. They said they had 28,000 this year. The one photo I had, I'd question 2,800. I don't know what time of the game it was, man, but they're showing a shot from the press box, and the side the press box is on has maybe 500 people in it.
Okay. The number that I saw them claiming was 47,000.
Now, I think that was last year's, because this year's number was 28,000. I saw that reported everywhere.
Okay.
And because they're talking about what a drop off it was from 47,000 down to 28,000, and had the shine wore off and blah, blah, blah about Dion, and everybody's tired of him already. And Dan Wetzel, I think, came to Dion's defense, which for some weird reason, certain columnists and sports writers continue to come to Dion's defense because he was such a great player. It doesn't make him a great human being, and it doesn't make him a great coach. And for whatever reason, his skill on the football field seems to translate for some people to mean that he's a great coach and a great person. And I don't think either one of those two things are true.
He's an acquired taste.
Yeah. And I don't have that taste. I can promise you that.
I don't either. I'm not a big fan of Dion, but I do think he's a problem until you beat him.
For Colorado.
But they were 4-8. They were 4-8 last year. Nebraska 5-7. That will be one of those games where you target and you think, will Nebraska be favored at home? They probably should be. They probably will be. In fact, there are people that believe Nebraska will be favored in their first 7 games. And I think it's quite possible. I think they'll be Colorado this year. They'll be Colorado. Let's get to break. Come back with more. He's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens. It's Husker Rewind. More on the way.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
2024 wheat harvest is upon us, agriculture at its finest. Schemper Harvesting is a custom harvesting operation out of Holdridge that is starting to build a crew for the 2024 season that harvests crops from Texas to Montana starting May 15th. Drive trucks from field to market and operate combines and tractors pulling grain carts. Room and board is provided with a competitive wage. Take an adventure and join them for the upcoming harvest and do something others wish they would have done. Call JC at 308-999-2973 or apply online at schemperharvesting.com.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that Potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams, voice integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone back with the latest update from Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, your new car selection keeps getting better and better every month. Can you tell our listeners all about it?
You know, it sure is, Charlie. It's great that our customers can come in, pick out a new Honda, and drive away with it that day.
How many new Hondas do you have in stock?
Well, right now we have just about 100 in stock.
Hey, I hear you've won some very important awards in your service department. Tell us about them.
Well, the first one is we won the award for the first fixed award. So the cars are actually fixed on the very first time they're brought in. Second award is our Customer Service Experience Award. And then our third award is our Honda Express Service Elite. And we rank the best in quality and customer satisfaction.
Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Nobody goes to McDonald's more than you. Nobody.
No,
every meal,
I agree
every
with that.
call. I mean, every meal.
Every morning you're there.
Every morning goes to McDonald's
single
every day.
I do it. Oh, I go every day.
Is it?
Yeah,
How many
that's what I
times?
mean. That's a lot. How many?
I mean, sometimes
I'm
twice
saying
a
in
day.
the next year I go 9 times. I
That's
go
high
9.
for me. I'm not going 9
Oh,
times
I mean,
to
7
McDonald's.
times
Yeah.
a week. 7
Yeah.
times a week.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of
Every
times,
day.
though, but you go more than once a day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm telling you. So it's
But I just
500.
get coffee.
But you go 500 times a year. That's a lot of times a year. The most I'm at is 9. I'm at 9. Jake's at 4, and you're at 500.
I say 4 to 5 for myself.
So I said 9. You said 500.
Put it that way.
It is. Just do the math.
Early break with Zip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Mike Minner, what's up, bro?
When you look at Dylan, you're looking at quarterbacks that kind of come around once every 20 years. And this is a kid I'm looking at, I don't know how old he is, 17, 18 years old. And he is already directing things that 17, 18-year-old kids should not even know. Changing the line protection. Okay, guys, I don't know what we've been 2 weeks of practice. Come on, man. Well, we got guys in the National Football League that can't do that.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome back, hour number 2. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind every Sunday, 5 to 7. No Husker players taken in the NFL draft is the first time since 2019, only the second time in 60 years. Of course, 7 losing seasons in a row will hurt your draft stock, probably. It was projected that maybe Quentin Newsom would get taken, maybe Omar Brown. Omar did sign with Denver. Norden Wheatley, who we know and love, signed with New Orleans. Phelan Sanford signed with the LA Raiders. And I think there's a lot of guys that will get taken next year. You're going to have guys like Ty Robinson and Bryce Benhart and Isaac Gifford. I think will, if they don't get taken, and I think they will, they'll get signed and play somewhere.
That shot maker will find himself in somebody's NFL draft board. But yeah, Quentin Newsom and Omar Brown, both the Broncos. Billy Kemp signed with the New York Giants as well. Marco Ortez, long snapper, signed with the LA Chargers. So,
yeah.
Handful of guys getting some opportunities.
Do you see any of these guys? I thought Quentin Newsom going into the draft would be the guy, but then you see that his 40 time wasn't as great as I thought it might be. Luke Reimer, same thing. It turned out he's a 4.7 guy. I thought he was right around a 4.5 guy, and that hurts your stock when you're not the biggest guy in the world.
At the end of the day, all you need is an opportunity. The combine, I always think it's funny. The combine measures specific metrics on athletic ability. And there are so many GMs in the NFL that pattern what they're going to do with their draft after those metrics.
Yeah.
And they wind up paying guys millions and millions and millions of dollars that they don't necessarily deserve simply because they ran 0.2 faster on a given day during a combine workout than another guy did. And that other guy goes on to have a longer career, a better career, whatever, is more, produces more on the field. And it's simply because what's his football IQ? I mean, talk about the Wonderlic test and all that. I get it. You're looking for intelligence, but what about football intelligence? I mean, there's guys that can barely write their own name who know football inside and out like they know how to spell their own name.
Sure.
It's insane. That's a guy you want. I get it. How do you figure out what their football IQ is? I don't know. Get a hold of Mario Verduzco. He's a horrible quarterbacks coach, but evidently he's got one hell of a test that he can give people about football and about quarterback play. There's got to be those guys all over the world and all over the country, especially in the NFL. To me, that's far more important than the metrics. I mean, yeah, you got to have a guy. You'd rather have a guy that runs a 4.5 than a 4.7. But does the guy that runs the 4.7, what's his shuttle time? What's his change of direction time? Is his shuttle time 1/10 of a second faster than the guy that runs 0.2 faster in a 40? I'd rather have that guy. I want his change of direction and that the explosiveness. That's what I'm worried about.
But you talked about Rule, or you listen to Matt Rule. He always wants the guys that are track guys. I mean, think about this. And I think Jalen Lloyd is going to be an NFL guy. Nobody recruited him out of high school.
I know.
And he was
he had
nobody
for track scholarships.
Right. He had track scholarship. I mean, and I think Texas Tech did jump on late, as they tend to follow each other because they're friends. The head coach at Texas Tech, they follow each other. McGuire and Matt Rule think the same in recruiting. They want speed, and the NFL wants speed. But they think that if they can get a guy that's fast and can jump and do those things, they can teach him football. That's there. And Scott Frost wasn't necessarily that way. He wanted guys that, fit a certain profile. He had to be like, if you're searching for a wide receiver, got to be 6'2" or more. Or if you got to have the measurables. If you're a quarterback or whatever position you might be looking for. I don't think Matt Rule looks at it necessarily that way. Can you play football? Can you run? And we'll build you into a really good football player. They're taking guys. Jeremiah Charles, again, another guy. Nobody recruited him out of high school. Matt Rule went to a basketball game, saw him dunk. We all saw him dunk at a game at PBA this year. And now he's moved to cornerback. I think he was going to be a wide receiver. Now he's a cornerback at Nebraska. He'll probably have to be a starter if Bly Hill is out for any extended period of time. He's one of those guys that's in position to be a corner for Nebraska and play a lot this year. Who knows? It might be Mario Buford, or it might be somebody else. But I just think you're going to get the way they're recruiting now. I see NFL players potentially all over this roster, and I didn't see that 2-3 years ago.
No, and I don't disagree with that. I wasn't talking about Nebraska. No, I was talking about the NFL. I just think the way they run the combine, and Luke Reimer ran slower than what they expected, and so therefore he doesn't get drafted. Whatever. I think Luke Reimer has got incredible football intelligence, and I think he can make a practice squad and get a shot to make special teams, make a team on special teams.
I think guys like down the road, like you look at next year, Ty Robinson. Obviously, you mentioned Nash. I think he's going to be an NFL player. I think Gifford's an NFL player. I think Singleton is a potential NFL player. Demetrius Bell, you've got guys. Tommy Hill, he's a 4.3 guy. I think there's guys that are finally looking more like it. No, they haven't elected, and they had nobody drafted this. That is not going to be what happens going forward with Nebraska football. I think you're going to see 2, 3, 4, 5 guys drafted.
Top of the 6th, Iowa 3, Nebraska 1, and a runner on second. And it is Casey Days.
They need a sweep. I hate Iowa.
They got to come back. Yeah, I agree. I want them tied for first at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just more of it is I want them tied for first. Sure, I just hate Iowa.
Well, that too. Absolutely.
It kills me that they're losing to Creighton. in these midweek games, which is, I think, really hurt Nebraska. The loss to Kansas last week, lost to Creighton so far. They haven't beaten Creighton so far this year. But Creighton and Iowa just they gnaw at me. I mean, I hate losing to Creighton and I hate losing to Iowa.
Yeah. Well, you asked the question of Lance Harvell last week. What is the big bugaboo on the midweek games? And he said, bottom line is finding a guy that can give you innings, not
it's depth of pitching.
We don't need bullpen by committee or pitcher by committee on midweek games. We don't need, 5 guys to give us, 1.2 to 2 innings each. We need a guy that can pitch on a Tuesday that can give us 5 to 6 to 7 innings. And they simply don't have that guy. They didn't have it last year. They don't have it this year. They had hoped that it was going to be Will Walsh, and he actually moved his way up to the point where he's a Sunday starter now, because they were anticipating Drew Christo to be either a Friday or a Saturday starter, and he's to the point where he's the midweek guy, and he still can't get out of the second inning.
Yeah, and I think it really hurts you in the midweek where you're saving your best guys for the weekend. Nebraska's been okay in league play where their best guys are there for league play, but you have to have a guy that goes out on Tuesday.
Well, that's the point. I mean,
and they haven't had that. They haven't had the depth of pitching. I think their bullpen is okay. I like the Jalen Worsley has stepped up as of late. McConaughey has been better. Obviously, Sears is still one of the better pitchers in all of college baseball. Will Walsh probably now is your Sunday guy, but the depth of pitching, if those guys are off, hasn't been there.
Yep.
And that's just what it is. I think the hitting's okay. They don't have the power that they did last year, but they have pretty good hitting. They have guys that can get on base. They have guys that steal bases. They have guys that hit home runs. But you're going to have great pitching, and great pitching. It's an old cliche. Stops great hitting a lot of times.
It does,
and it's just the way it is.
Fielder's choice, still 3-1 Iowa. Runner has moved to third, 1 out. They're in the top of the 6th.
Did you follow any of the NFL draft over the weekend?
Not 1 second, no.
You won't even tune in for the Cowboys pick?
I'll be honest with you. I have so little faith in Stephen and Jerry Jones. I'm just I'll cheer for whoever puts the star on, but I don't trust them to make good picks.
They do seem to melt.
Although from what I understood, I read
when it matters.
Yeah, they did. It sounded like make some good picks. I don't know who they are. I think they did get an offensive lineman with their first pick when they traded down. But I don't know. I wish they'd sell the team so I could have faith in my ownership. And I wish they'd replace the quarterback.
They're America's team, Mike.
Yeah, I know they are.
But they're not your team anymore. Even though they're your team, they're not really your team.
And America wants them the Jones family to sell them, and they want Dak Prescott to go be quarterback somewhere else.
Yeah, I watched the first round. The Vikings got Dallas Hunter. I like the Alabama linebacker with their second pick. They traded a lot of their picks to get up far enough to get J.J. McCarthy. 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the first round this year? It's crazy, the run on quarterbacks.
Four of them will be busts. Guaranteed 3 years and they're done.
Well, Atlanta at number 10, they'd already signed Kirk Cousins to the big deal. What was it, $180 million or whatever it was? And then they go get Michael Penix as well in the first round. Didn't make sense to me that they did that. Apparently they pissed off Kirk Cousins, but they can have him because he's a good quarterback, but once you get in big games, he wasn't great for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, I like him. I think he's a good guy. I didn't want him to be the Huskers. I didn't want him to be the Vikings quarterback anymore. But J.J. McCarthy, I'm not a big fan either. But I understand when you're in management, you just feel like we have to get some sort of guy that can give the fans hope, even though we think he's crap. I think that sometimes really, literally, I would like to hear some of those conversations in the war room, because they must be saying to each other, I know he's not very good, but the owner's going to kill me if we don't pick this guy. I think they think that way sometimes.
And that was, go back to the year that Johnny Manziel came out after he won the Heisman. And I guess he won the Heisman as a freshman, but when he came out and was drafted, Jerry Jones was hellbent. They're going to draft him. He's on the phone with Johnny Manziel. Right. He's like, yeah, we're going to take you with the next pick. As soon as we're up, man, we're getting you. Yep. No, absolutely done deal. Mm-hmm. And Steven is like, you're smoking crack. That dude sucks. We're getting an offensive lineman. And oh, by the way, I can't remember why am I forgetting his name? Anyway, the dude's going to be a Hall of Famer that they took with the offensive lineman that they took the pick. Zach Martin is who they took instead. And it, proved to be, I was like, oh, a little bit of hope that Steven's going to actually do some smart things as technically the GM, essentially. Right. And since then, it's been a lot more miss than hit. That's why I wish they'd sell the team.
It takes a lot of luck, especially with quarterbacks. I mean, the Tom Brady's of the world, 6th round pick or 5th round, whatever he was, that never happens. That just never happens. But it happened with Tom Brady. But it almost never happens. Usually, we talk about the Ryan Leafs of the world, the first round busts. But more often than not, if you're a Hall of Famer, you are picked in the first round. It just doesn't happen very often that you weren't.
So go back to the year that it was Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. And who were you? Were you like a team Manning or a team Leaf, or did you not care?
I was a team. I would like to be smart and say I was a team Manning, but I thought Ryan Leaf was going to set the world on fire in the NFL. I really did.
I did too. And I still think part of it was simply the persona of Peyton Manning. This like he almost felt like he was like anytime he was speaking to the media, it felt like he was telling me that he was too good for me.
Part of it for me was Nebraska had just kicked his ass. And I thought,
he can't be that good.
He can't be that good. We destroyed that dude. We took him apart.
And then Ryan Leaf is like literally the dude that you're like, man, I want to go party with him.
Right.
I think he's going to be a great quarterback.
And I still kind of think that. I mean, his broadcasting career has really taken off, Ryan Leaf. And you listen to him interviewed, and he's so apologetic about what he was and what kind of he was kind of a jerk back then. I think he's turned his life around. I think he's a pretty good guy now.
Yeah, I would agree. The good guy was in there. It just had not come out quite yet. So,
who also is a good guy, Tom Chattel.
He really is.
He's one of the best, and he talks to us, so we like that about him. He'll talk a lot about football, the spring game. It happened over the weekend. Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald is next.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Old School with DP and J.
Nebraska and their staff, football-wise, has done a really good job of, keeping guys, happy. And then obviously they see the opportunity here. Whereas I don't think there's a general reason that you can say, okay, this is why kids are going in the portal. Now we're seeing, even when they're in really good situations for them, they still leave.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through April 28th, enjoy Duroc St. Louis spare ribs for $5.99 per pound. USDA Choice Tomahawk ribeyes for $14.99 per pound. Fresh pork belly for $2.99 per pound. And Fairway's Hickory Smoked Bacon for $4.99 per pound. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn. Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Gary with Gary Michaels Clothiers Lincoln. I'm here to tell you about our custom shirt program. When you come into the store, we measure your chest, mid-waist, and sleeve length. Enter the measurements in an app, and we create your data fit size. You then try on one of our 99 data fit shirts for the proper fit. After that, pick out the fabric, collar, cuff, placket, and in roughly 2 weeks, your shirts are delivered at the same cost of buying off the rack. And by the way, the neck fits too. Gary Michaels Custom Shirts at 56th and Pine Lake Road, Lincoln.
The need in our community, if you just look at the numbers, it's frightening. We're serving over 1,000 kids every day. With the passion of our people, I really feel like our potential to be of even greater service to kids and families who are struggling is just unlimited. But in order to have the greatest impact, we need all the help we can get from the community.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket at theticketfm.com. That's Tom Stevens.
Hello.
And I am Mike Melby. Joining us on the Allo VIP line, the Omaha World Herald's Mr. Tom Chattel. Tom, how is your Sunday going?
Hi, guys. I'm good. It's been quite a weekend starting on Friday afternoon.
Exactly. I work for Tractor Supplies Distribution Center out in Waverly, so it was a little hairy for us, but it really was for you and your family as well. Glad to hear that you guys escaped anything too severe.
Yeah, I just happened to turn on Channel 7 about 2 o'clock, and all of a sudden, Bill Ramby's got this live video of a live tornado in Lincoln, and I mean, it's one thing to see it taped on the Weather Channel, but when it's live and it's someplace where I go every day, and then there was one on like Waverly and the I-80. I'm going, holy crap! I do that every day. I drive all there all the time. This is nuts. Yeah, the whole thing was. Then it just happened down my neighborhood, about a mile or so away, and yeah, it's. I'm very fortunate that it didn't come to see us, and but it just scary stuff. And then all of a sudden, I was at a spring football game, and I always kind of say spring football games don't mean anything, but boy, the one yesterday sure did.
We kind of need it. And you asked us last week, do you want to see football? And because a lot of schools are going away from football, and it's more of a celebration of the day. But I'm glad we saw football. And I know we got 2 injuries yesterday, and some coaches might think, well, I'm not going to risk injuries. But to have football, you're going to have to risk it. But we also got to see some really good stuff from Dylan Raiola. That was a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah, it had a lot of fun. And yes, the injuries are really unfortunate. I just hate that that part of the game. You know, those guys they worked so hard all spring, and then to have that happen. But and that's why certain older guys are not playing and being held out. So, but yeah, Dylan has certainly been hyped up. He's earned the hype so far, but he was out there, and I don't want to. I'll probably compare him too much to another number 15 who played between 92 and 95, Tommy Frazier. But we didn't. Tommy, the first time I feel like we saw him was in the regular season, and it's just like
it was the Missouri game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this was he lived up to everything that I've heard, or I've saw a little bit in the Polynesian Bowl, and he looked great there. But yeah, he has all the throws, and which just. And man, I haven't seen those throws. We haven't seen the simple here to there, A to B, point to point. And even, I'm not going to name names, but there's some guys recently who couldn't throw a short pass. It didn't have the touch, couldn't get it over the defender's arm, or the throw was at somebody's feet, or it was behind, or it was high. And offense. You can make first downs if you just throw a pass from here to here. And that guys who can catch and run. And the Barney guy, that stuff he's fast, and it's good to have speed, and they've got playmakers, and but it just gives next season a whole different feel for me. I'm not going to make any predictions certainly, but. I think they're going to have a defense, and I think now that they're going to score points. But yeah, it was very comforting to see, Rayl's poise, and he didn't get rattled. And even after he throws the pick, which I thought was a little bit behind the receiver, maybe he should have caught it, but he's not afraid to throw in those tight windows. That's how good he is. He knows he can do it, but. 2 plays later, after the pick, he throws the long touchdown pass, which was just incredibly dropped right in there, and over Jalen Lloyd's head, just perfectly for him. And that's what we're going to see next year. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, we absolutely are. Tom Chattel from the Omaha World Herald joining us on the Allo VIP line. I want to stick with the quarterback talk for just a moment. After yesterday, it seems obvious. It's not, because we have not seen the prior 14 practices, but it seems obvious that Dylan Raiola is probably the number 1. He's QB1. QB2, based on what we saw yesterday, I feel has got to be Heinrich Haarberg. I think I think there's a separation between him and Daniel Kalen. Does Matt Rule and the staff need to go find a 4th scholarship quarterback in case of freak injuries, broken play, scramble injuries, whatever happens? Do you think they need to go get another quarterback?
I do not, and I don't know who that would be at this point in the portal, but I think it would just murk things up. I think all 3 of these guys need reps. They need to learn. They're all, I think Haarberg to me was an interesting case yesterday. He looked, I think, better, maybe a lot better than last year. I wonder if that was part of it, the new quarterback coach. I also wonder if he's had to raise his game because of the 2 guys now in the quarterback room who are very, very good. So I think that was a really good sign. I think that they've got 3 guys who can go out there and are going to execute the offense. So now I just think a 4th guy, because you bring him in, and plus, who wants to come here when you're going to be the backup? The guys in the portal want money, but they also want playing time, and that's not going to be here for whoever comes in. And there certainly would be no guarantee that they would beat out Harburg or Kalen. So I think it'd be hard to find a guy, and I think it's not necessary. I love who they have now. Let's let them grow.
Yeah, I kind of am leaning that way as well after seeing Raiola. I mean, he doesn't seem like a guy that necessarily puts himself in harm's way to get injured anyway. And then you've got a guy in Harburg that did get injured last year, but maybe with this offense, this version of this offense, you wouldn't see that. And you get 4 games from Kalen. I feel maybe differently, though, when you're talking about kicker, because you did lose 3 games, 13-10 last year. And you had a kicker that struggled last year and then struggled in the spring game, going 1-3. And maybe that hasn't been the case. Maybe he's been fine and you don't need to look elsewhere. Maybe you've got it on your roster. Do they look to the portal for perhaps a kicker for at least competition?
Yeah, maybe. And but that's such a weird position. I don't know how many kickers are in the portal, to be honest. That part of yesterday was disappointing. I mean, they weren't easy kicks, but there's certainly ones you want to make. I suppose they could. Competition never hurt anybody, but Rule seems to be a guy who likes to have his players back. I mean, maybe as much as he can, and I don't think he's going to give up on people that easily. So I don't know that he'll do that, but the kicker made up for by chasing down. who was that?
Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, he chased him down. I mean, that was one of the funnier moments. One other thing about the quarterback is, it was brought up at some point. Well, you remember they had a freshman named Adrian Martinez, and there was a guy named Joe Burrow out there, and he was available and wanted to come here, and I took a pass on that. So I don't know if there's a Joe Burrow out there right now who wants to come here. It's certainly a moment in time you would go back and. Of course, I would also add, and as I had written, Joe Burrow would have spent a lot of time that year on his back if he'd come here. Offensive line was not ready to protect a guy like him, and he hit the lottery going to LSU with the offensive coordinator and all that. So and the other receivers. So everything worked out for him. So, but anyway, I don't know that there's a Joe Burrow out there.
No, there probably is not. From the receiving core, how vastly improved do they seem? Granted, we didn't get to see Malachi Coleman. We've heard he's up to about 218, 220 pounds. But the difference with Isaiah Nayor and Banks, Jamal Banks, Jalen Lloyd looks like he's taken his game to a different level. Is that position group surprising to you at how good and how deep they look to be?
Yeah, surprising because I hadn't really seen anything this spring. I mean, I have not been to any of the early. I don't get up to get there to watch the beginning of practice. The guys who live in Lincoln do that for me. But we certainly heard about these guys, and they got credentials. We saw Jalen last year. We know about Coleman, but. Who was the kid who caught the first touchdown pass yesterday?
Janarian Bonner.
Yeah, Bonner. There's another guy. I mean, these guys they're making plays, and the Miami kid is really fun. So I just and don't forget the tight ends. And Fidone seems to be kind of the guy we've always envisioned. He's very confident. He's out there. They're going to use those guys like receivers too. And the missing or the other piece we haven't seen yet is okay, running backs. What's that going to be like? And I think that the running backs that are going to play are going to be the ones who can the pass blockers, the best pass blocker, and the best pass catchers. I think are going to. I mean, they're going to certainly try to run the ball, but we didn't see a lot of that yesterday. These guys are going to throw it. They got Rayola, and he doesn't run it, and they're going to throw it. And what we don't know is how much pressure could have been on the quarterback yesterday. They weren't really going after him. They didn't scheme blitzes, or certainly he wasn't going to get sacked. So we don't know that aspect of it. After the game, I think Rule mentioned that he probably got sacked at least once. So all that'll fall into place this fall. But receivers. I mean, it's just that was sort of one of the other headline besides Rayola yesterday was there's some playmakers, and then that's the way to get back into the bowl business is guys who make positive plays and not negative ones. So, no fumbles yesterday, and I got a couple picks. But does that mean that we praise the defense? Weren't worried about the offense. We praise the defense. So, who knows? But I think all in all, it was a good day.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, no Huskers taking the NFL draft, and Rule talks a lot about how he wants to get guys to the NFL. He thinks his program caters to that. But you finally got a quarterback who looks like he could be an NFL quarterback. You've got wide receivers who look like they could be that. Maybe they didn't get anybody drafted, but, I mean, you saw 6 quarterbacks being drafted in the first round on Thursday night. Man, if you have a quarterback in the NFL and they want to run an NFL offense, you can win. It feels like there's finally hope for Nebraska. I mean, you get a quarterback, you've got hope.
Absolutely. That's absolutely it. And I think they have a couple. They definitely have a star in the making. And how about him just dropping this was a little nugget to us after the game that, I'm going to go see Pat Mahomes. He calls him Pat. I'm going to go see Pat Mahomes as his trainer this week and start working out. I wonder how much that costs, but also B, wow, that's pretty good. I mean, Mahomes is one of those guys. I always said guys like Larry Bird can't coach because he can't coach what he knows. George Brett can't. He's George Brett. He can't tell you why he did what he did. He just does it, and that's kind of like with Mahomes. I wonder what Mahomes coaches or teaches because he's got something that nobody else can do. So, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of good instruction and a lot of good tips there. But there's I don't like to get too excited about spring games. I've been burned too many times, but this one was very interesting, and I think there's hope.
Yeah,
hope for what I don't know, but there's hope.
Exactly. The one thing, if those two hanging out, I have to anticipate that there's going to be a competition to see who can throw the ball further. Because we already know Mahomes can throw it like 71 or 72 yards, and then we found out at the Elite 11 camp that Raiola was tossing at 71 yards. Like that, they've got to have a little side bet going. You'd have to think. I want to see that.
The one thing that Mahomes, besides the plays that he just comes up with on the fly, but at the line of scrimmage when he's out there and he's looking at defenses, I got to think that would really help Dylan. Just the way he sees the field,
sure,
and just little things, little pointers about what a cornerback is doing, or how the linebacker is lined up, or if the blitz is coming, this is what you do, and just little tips like that, I think are going to be valuable.
Yeah. The one thing before we let you go, Tom, I want to see if you noticed this as well. It seemed to me as though at times Dylan Raiola was changing his protection. And I don't know that I noticed Harburg and Kalen doing it. I thought I read somewhere that somebody else kind of noticed that it felt like he was doing that as well. And that just kind of speaks to the knowledge that he has in that football IQ.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's special. And he certainly is. He is special. But he doesn't have to be Superman. He doesn't have to be the guy who carries everybody on his back. He just needs to make plays. Just make basic plays that score touchdowns and don't turn them over. So, I mean, I think that's sort of the message going into next fall is, this guy could be all everything, but he doesn't need to be that from day one.
It feels like he's got more weapons around him than Nebraska had last year for sure as well. So I don't think he has to do it all. And Rule talked a lot about that. Just, make good decisions. It's the little things, not worried so much about the big things with Dylan, just the tiniest things, because that's what has really killed Nebraska in the past, especially with the turnover problems. Good stuff. Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald. Thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
There you go. Always great stuff with Tom. And boy, I'm glad he's okay. It sounds like the tornado hit really close to home. I mean, really close to home.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had that happen where you're home and you don't even hear about the tornado. And then you turn on the TV and you go, wait a minute, this is like 5 blocks from our house.
Well, the guy
that's scary.
Yeah, I announced with Rick Schwieger out at Eagle for 10 years, and Rick Allen now on I think it's NBC's broadcast of NASCAR. But back in 1980, he was 11 years old, and he was living in Grand Island when the night of the Twisters hit. There were 10 tornadoes that hit in and around Grand Island, and he was, this is way pre-cell phone.
Yeah, he told that story.
On
our
Nebraska
podcast.
Gems. Just fascinating to hear. He was on one side of town, his mom was on the other side of town, and it wasn't until the next morning that either one of them knew the other one was okay. But fortunate for everybody involved with the tornadoes here on Friday night in Nebraska. No fatalities. So
there you go. We'll check on the baseball score, and we'll come back with our final segment. After this, he's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens. It's Husker Rewind.
Hi, I'm Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised in Lancaster County, learning the value of hard work and grit at a young age. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. I know that families and businesses in our community need lower taxes, lower cost of healthcare, and a great education. That's why, as your senator, I helped pass the largest tax cut and made the most significant investment in education in Nebraska history and worked to reduce the cost of healthcare. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 14th. Paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Hey guys, it's Bill Bush. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty has opened a new location in Pender, Nebraska, in addition to their office in Lincoln. The real estate world can be confusing, so why wouldn't you want an expert helping you every step of the way? If you're looking to buy or sell farmland in Nebraska, Kansas, or Iowa, give Ethan Sorensen a call today at 402-380-0432 or visit them online at nextagrealestate.com. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty with locations in Lincoln and now Pender, Nebraska.
Spring is here, and Acres is offering special financing on select new John Deere lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers. Visit your nearest Acres store and test drive all the latest John Deere turf equipment and attachments. And for a limited time, with the purchase of a new John Deere mower, get up to $200 to apply to the steel power tool of your choice. From trimmers to chainsaws, gas or electric, Acres is your home for steel products and service. Offer expires April 30, 2024. Subject to approved credit by John Deere Financial.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador online at prg-ne.com.
Ready to add a dash of Southern flavor to your week? At Wings and Rings, their brand new Southern fried wings have arrived for a limited time. Indulge in the irresistible goodness of large, traditional bone-in wings coated in a crispy beer batter and fried to perfection. Try them with hot honey or any other sauces. And for those busy summer days coming up, look no further than their Southern Fried Wings Family Bundle. Wings and Rings, 2 Lincoln locations on O Street or Village Lane.
Hey Nebraska! Register today for the 40th annual Cornhusker State Games, taking place July 11th through the 21st in Lincoln, Omaha, and other Nebraska communities. The Cornhusker State Games features 70 sports for athletes of all ages and abilities. Price increases are approaching, so register early and save. For details, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. If you've experienced a sports injury, joint or back pain, trust your care to Nebraska Orthopedic Center, a proud platinum partner of the Cornhusker State Games.
Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind. Final segment. Nebraska basketball, little news, not a ton. Braxton Mia apparently visiting 7-1 center. Averaged 8.7 rebounds last year. Transfer
2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. Last year, I think he had a little bit of some injury issues. He averaged 5.3 points and rebounds per game, just under a block a game. Shot 77% from the field. On the season, he was 67 of 87. But he's kind of one of those guys that he dunks a lot at 7-1, and he gets a lot of lobs. Flip side is from the free throw line last year, 34 of 69. So
he's basically a lob threat defensive specialist.
Yeah, he'll defend the rim.
Shoots 77%. But most of those that I saw in his highlight reel were dunks.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to facilitate either. It's kind of a strange, I don't know. I think it would be a strange fit in Fred's system, because a guy like that, all he's going to do is stand on the block and not really be a part of a 5-out offense. He doesn't shoot the three. I get it. He can dunk, but he's 7-1. He can't make free throws, and he can't dish.
Yeah.
He had 10 total assists in 32 games last year.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like, as you just mentioned, he doesn't seem like he fits the 5-out philosophy of what Fred Hoiberg wants to do. Quite honestly, you've got Bryce Williams back. You've got Jawan Gary back, and I think Rink is coming back. That's a pretty good big three, if you will. Asijan, I think, is a good shooter. I think they've got some capable pieces. We'll see where they go. I think losing CJ was a bigger loss than some people think. Going to Texas A&M, I don't think it's a great fit for him, but he's going to Texas A&M. I think Jamarcus Lawrence is kind of a big loss.
That's the loss I think that's going to hurt the most.
Those are the only two guys, though, that I think are losses at all. I think all
Eli
of those
Rice
guys
was too, though.
They need to find some sort of Tamanaga, which don't grow on trees.
No,
they
but
they need to find a pure shooter, and maybe Asijan is that.
Yeah, Asijan maybe that. Raleigh Wooster, bottom line, the guy he averaged 5.5 assists last year in the Pac-12. It's the one thing Nebraska needed desperately was a point guard. They have Aaron Eulis that, as of now, is still going to be here next year. Haven't heard any rumors that he's going to jump in the portal. But
see, a bunch of Iowa football players are suing the NCAA and the way they handled that. They think they were spied on. They used their phones to gather information on all these athletes from Iowa that were suspended. And Eulis obviously was one of those guys for gambling on, in his case, football. Not all of them were Iowa sports, but in his case, he apparently was gambling on Iowa football.
I believe there was one Iowa football game that he bet on. Otherwise, I don't believe there were any other Iowa. But at the same time, it was like 3,000 and some odd bets over the course of however many years. And
well, the 24 athletes based in Iowa are suing. It's a federal lawsuit saying that they state the criminal investigations violated their constitutional rights by using geolocation software to track them. Basically, they tracked their cell phones, knew that they were gambling, and they're obviously, that's how you gamble anyway these days. You use your cell phone in many cases to gamble.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I don't know that they were, using the tracker to follow them to Warhorse Casino.
No, I doubt it. But Eulis is good to go for next year. And he might be the starter. It might not be him. I don't know.
With what I've seen of both, I think Raleigh Worcester probably has a leg up, but there's a whole, summer and then preseason camp to go through before we get to that point.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen a Bryce Williams in this class yet. And I saw that last year.
Yeah. Well,
2 years ago,
Bryce Williams.
I saw Bryce Williams last year, and I saw Rink Mass last year. Those were two, you kind of felt, at least I did, when they committed to Nebraska, those were two pretty big gets. I haven't seen that yet from Fred.
Connor Esigian is the one that I guess I'm holding out hope. We sit there and go, wow. He now I understand why he was on the Big Ten freshman team his first year at Wisconsin.
And there's still time.
Oh, yeah.
There's still time. I don't think Josiah Alec committed till May last year or mid-May.
Well, May's just around the corner, so we're due for another commitment.
We'll get there.
Hey, big props to the show that's going to follow. I know a little bit about it. It's called The Finish Line, and Brianna Fansteel is going to host the show this year. It's going to be fantastic. We had Bree on the show last year. She drives number 33 Sport Mod out at Eagle and travels around. She also runs some go-karts, knows a ton about racing, works at Speedway Motors. Trust me, show's going to be fantastic. Can't wait to listen to it, but that's coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket. Looking forward to it.
We've only got a few more shows until we take a break for the rest of the summer.
Yep. I'll be in the pit crew for somebody out racing this year. Tyke Jensen and the
you were going to
24
be in the pit crew last night. Was it rained out?
Yeah, a little rainy. Yeah,
it was wet. It's definitely. We've had some weather over the last couple of weeks, but hopefully it gets better. And they are racing out at Eagle Raceway soon. We're out. We'll see you next week.
See you
next Sunday, 5 to 7. For Mike, Tom Stevens. Bye-bye.
2024 wheat harvest is upon us, agriculture at its finest. Schemper Harvesting is a custom harvesting operation out of Holdridge that is starting to build a crew for the 2024 season that harvests crops from Texas to Montana starting May 15th. Drive trucks from field to market and operate combines and tractors pulling grain carts. Room and board is provided with a competitive wage. Take an adventure and join them for the upcoming harvest and do something others wish they would have done. Call JC at 308-999-2973 or apply online at schemperharvesting.com.